Hi everybody, I'm going to start with chapter 2 from The Gifts That Bind Us by Caroline Donahue. Chapter 2. St. Bernadette's is a school that should have never been a school. It's 2 Victorian townhouses on top of a hill in Kilbeg city centre, and it has almost no facilities to speak of. There's no PE because there's nowhere to do sports. The music room has just an out-of-tune piano, and Lily has to do all her cello lessons at the School of Music on the other side of the river. Having that said, whenever I meet girls from other schools, they always say how lucky we are. Lucky that we are in the middle of the town and not in some austere building at the end of a suburb. For years, St. Bernadette was supposed to have this brilliant reputation for educating girls to a college standard. Back when sending your daughter to college was as rare as owning a racehorse. Now that everybody's daughter is a racehorse and every school competing to be a stable, Bernie's has lost its sheen. It's now just a run-down old building that people still inexplicably send a few grand a year sending their daughter to. Explicably, that's a wrong word. When most of the free schools are probably just as good. Rue drives to St. Bernadette's. The summer twilight is settling into night. The sky turning dark blue. When you say you've been practicing in school, Fiona says to Lily, what exactly around the back, she says. It's only a garbage around the back, I say, remembering the scrubby patches of grass where an old garden used to be. Now it's where the wheelie bins are. They've cleared all that, Lily responds, but looking at Rue as if he had asked the question. They? I go there for tutorials and they've got builders in, doing stuff. Miss Harris says they are doing up the place. So you hang around after practice magic? After and practice magic? Rue cocks an eye at his sister. Lily shrugs. No, no one notices. They've all gone home by then. When we get back to school, the first thing we see is the skip in the park. Car park, filled with pieces of wood and rubbish, old curtains and mouldy wallpaper. Rue parks outside the grounds in case they have cameras. We walk up the whole building fresh with the chaotic air of a dancer with half her outfit on. The downstairs windows have been totally replaced. The heavy old Victorian windows that you need at least 2 people to pull up are now shining walls of new glass. The paint has been scraped off the old door, the wood naked and chipped, almost shivering in its desire for a new coat. Can we just? Fiona begins, but Rue is already making his way up the steps. All summer long he has been salivating at the idea of a locked door, but no one wants to risk breaking and entering. Wait, Lily says. She sidles up the steps leaning on the iron guardrail, and then climbs onto the rail like a gymnast on a balance beam. My eyes follow her, and I see what she's going towards. The security camera angle above the school door. She's tall already, about almost 6 foot, and with one hand on the old building for balance, she's able to reach the cord connecting the camera to the electrical system. Within the school, she holds on. She closes her eyes. The air fizzes and pops. I stare at Lily, her eyes briefly meeting mine, and I swear I can see something flashing behind her pupils, a fevered yellow underscoring and the grey-green of her irises. Like a fire in a forest. There, she says simply. Rue? Rue goes quickly to the door. I follow him, fascinated by the way his gift manifests itself. With the right hand on the door handle and his left thumb on the keyhole, he cocks his ear. He listens for the 4 pins in the lock, and listens for the soft rotating of the cuff, for the firm nod of a spring. I look at my watch. 30 seconds. 1 minute. 1 minute 30. No one says a word. Just before 2 minutes, Mark, the door opens. It's funny being in your own school in summertime. It's the summer holidays. You realize that all the things that usually make a familiar air are built around the people, not the place. The smell of perfume and deodorant and old school sandwiches and books and toilet cleaner and bins, all that is gone. There's no real odor to speak of, except for the light hum of drying paint. The only sound is my boots hissing quietly off the new parquet floor. It looks good in here, says Fiona. Where on earth are they finding the money? What do you mean? They are loaded, aren't they? It costs enough to send us here. Not enough to pay for all this, Fiona replies, shaking her head, and besides, half our year are gone. Ran into Michelle Breen. She's not coming back either. People are starting to realize that Bernie isn't worth the money. Plus, Lily calls looking inside the pot. No one wants to send their daughter to a school with the head case. She is not entirely wrong. The end of spring term last year was tense, and there were too many stories about Lily O'Callaghan to make most parents feel comfortable. Light bulbs exploding near her, a small electrical fire in the bathroom. Her gift is wilder than the rest of ours, more dangerous, and even though Nuala is the only adult who knows what she can do, they all suspect something is off. The hexagonal entry hall has Miss Harris's office on the left and Sister Assumptia's on the right. Rue examines the locked door of Sister Assumptia's, and I put my hand on his. Not this one, I say. She wouldn't like it. I feel oddly protective of the somewhat senile ex-nun. Who owns the school? She's so particular about her office. He nods and wanders off into one of the bigger classrooms. So where are they getting all this floor money? Fiona says, squeaking her trainers off the shiny wood. Holy shit, says Rue from the classroom. Where are they getting tennis court money from? We follow his voice and see him at the back window peering out. We join him and Fiona lets out a sharp whistle. Gee, she says, I remember when this was all bins. They've obviously bought the land behind, I say, astonished. Gosh, it's huge. And it is. I'm trying to remember what was there before. An old newsagent, a few anonymous apartments. Something like that. Now, the ground has been completely flattened. And there is a proper tennis court. The net not yet mounted. The beginnings of a changing room appears to be in the works, a thin structure that I shudder to think of actually using. Surely they won't make the 6 years the formers and do exercise. Not this late in the game. Tall privacy hedges have been installed around the court, fence bold and alien looking. It all looks too strange, like the school has been picked up and plopped on another planet. Let's have a look, then, Rue says. We wander out through the back fire exit, back into the warm summer air, where the tennis court gates are open. You've been practicing here, I ask Lily, and as usual, she doesn't bother answering me directly. She just takes her backpack off, unzips it, and produces a bottle of water. It's starting to get dark now, as we inch closer to 10 p.m. The sun sets 2 minutes earlier every day, summer slowly trickling away without our consent. I feel my stomach drops. I'm not ready for the summer to be over, for Rue to start college, for me to start my exam year, for the daily crushing inadequacies of school life to take over again. I like life how it is now. I like having my job and my people and my schedule. Lily unscrews the cap of the water bottle and slowly walks to the other end of the court. The floodlights don't seem to be hooked up yet, so we can barely see her. All that is visible is the moon bouncing off her blonde hair. Are you guys ready? She calls. Yep, we are. Fiona and Rue call back, while I murmur a soft no under my breath. We hear her shake the bottle in the air. Water spraying everywhere, and before you can say that was it, there's a crackling sound, and the whole court is illuminated in a split second of white light. In that moment, all you can see are Lily's hands up, pointing at the airborne water. The spray is conducting her sparks, lightening her like a strobe. A moment later, we are in darkness again. We hear the spray of water and another crackle. White light fills the space, and Lily's face is in the middle of it. She does it again and again, as the three of us stare at her, dumbfounded. Darkness, water, crackle, light, Lily. Darkness, water, crackle, light, Lily. And we stand there, dazzled at this light show. These fireworks just for us. So we all throw ourselves into practicing, showing up at the tennis court night after night, long after the builders have left the day. If anyone has noticed that the security cameras are no longer working, they haven't done a thing. This is our place now. For as long as there is summer left, we have somewhere to be ours. Who wants to see a magic trick, Fiona says, on the second night, her voice full of mischief. Go on then, I call back. Lying on the sun-baked clay of the court, my head is on Rue's stomach. I can smell him, that special Rue smell, the combination of roses, jasmine, and that charcoal and salt. Sure for men, and channel number 5. She takes an apple out of her bag. Observe. The apple. All right, Steve Jobs. She sticks her tongue out and produces a sharp knife. All right, Jack the Ripper. She starts to peel it in front of us, the long strip of skin coming off in one curdling layer. I peer at her, the sun still bright enough to see what she is doing. She's focusing hard, biting on the side of her lip in concentration, and I can see as the peel gets longer and longer that the skin of the apple is growing back. By the time the strip has hit the floor, the apple is almost perfect again, untouched. Jesus, I yelped, jumping up. Fie, that's amazing. She takes a deep bow from the waist. So it's not just human skin you can heal. You can do other things too. Yep, loads more, I think. The other day I got a hole in my tights and I sort of pinched it together and imagined the material like it was skin, and it came together. That's amazing, Lily says. You are so good at magic, Fiona. She says it with such bold admiration that I feel a twinge of jealousy. She's very fond of Fiona. The two of them have formed a kind of a separate friendship, independent from me and Rue. It seems like a natural thing for two people who hang around with a couple to do, but it makes me feel a bit left out nonetheless. When Lily first came back from the river, she found adjusting to real life hard. It took a little while for her to get clothes right again. For weeks after the ritual, she struggled with buttons, zippers, laces. It was like she had completely forgotten how they worked. Once she came down the stairs of the O'Callaghan's house, wearing her dad's work shirt backward and the buttons fastened halfway up her spine. No bra, Fiona said. She said plaintively, "This isn't right, is it?" "No, babe." Fi had said softly, "It isn't." The two of them disappeared up to Lily's room, while Rue and I worried downstairs whether Lily had been um, whether Lily had been the river for too long. Her magic was bizarrely strong. If we all gained more magic from simply accessing the world of the housekeeper, how had it changed her, someone who had been soaking in it for weeks? Fiona helped her to develop the method for her clothes. If everything is the same color, then you can get too confused. So Lily picked a color, and now everything is blue. If everything is blue, then nothing can clash or look strange. If everything is blue, then everything is okay. I just wish I could have been the one to work it out with her. All right, Maeve, Rue says now. Your turn. I sigh. Mine isn't cool like yours all are. Dude, you can read minds. Fiona responds dryly. I know, but it's very internal. You know, it's not theoretical. Like electricity or machinery or healing. There's nothing to do. No dog and a pony show. I'm thinking of a number, Fiona says. Go on then. It's really tiring, I protest. You'll never build the muscle if you don't work the muscle, she retorts, like she's a personal trainer. Try it, Maeve. Rue prods. Do the process. Sometimes with people I know well, random thoughts of theirs will slip into my ear like a whispered secret. But most of the time I have to try really hard. There's a series of mental exercises I have to do before I can look properly into someone's brain. Rue starting calling it the process for a laugh. It was one of those things that we started saying ironically, and now we just say it. The process starts with me closing my eyes and clearing my mind. Clearing your mind is one of those dumb things you always catch YouTubers saying when they decide they suddenly care about meditation. But it's the only way I can explain it. I visualize my brain like a desktop screen on my laptop, and I drag everything, my friends, my family, the country, the earth, into a recycle bin in the bottom right corner. When the screen is finally empty, the inside of my brain is tar black. That's when the lights come on. The lights are harder to explain. I tried to tell Fiona and Rue a million times what it looks like until one day I saw a picture of the northern lights, the streaks and swirls of endless light and explosion of color that seemed to be perfectly organized without being the remotest planned. Breathe in, breathe out. That's the easy part. The pretty part now is when it gets complicated. Rue must feel my shoulders tense because he starts to stroke the soft skin behind my ear with his thumb. I lean into it, feeling his touch reverberating through my spinal cord like a volt through copper wire. Focus, Maeve, focus. Back to the lights. I look at Fiona's light, trying to separate it from the countless others the deep shimmering blue light, the shimmering blue of lilies, the crystal white of rose, the blips of brown and green that must represent everything beating heart of each tiny, unseen life. The mosquitoes, the roasting birds, the urban foxes in the bushes. There are bigger streaks just outside them, flecks of colours standing from the countless sleeping humans in the city around us. I don't know how to follow them. I can't read the minds of strangers. I can't read the minds of strangers or animals or anyone that I am not directly looking at. What seems like a gift of limitless potential. It actually is very limited. I can read the minds of people I know extremely well already, which sort of feels like a waste of time. Fiona's light is shimmering orange. It's important to find the tail, to grab onto it and follow it until you can feel yourself riding the wave, like a surfer crashing right into the fray coastline of your best friend's brain. I explain it to myself like I'm writing a guide for future telepaths. I have no idea whether these people exist. Then I find it. At the end of the tail, there are 2 black digits sitting at the front of Fiona's brain. Fiona, Maeve, 15. No, 57. She sits up, stunned as ever. Have I ever told you that you are a genius? No, not nearly enough. How do you know? How does it look? I told you. Like the Northern Lights, exactly. Wow, she lies back on the tennis court and stares at the stars, knowing that we are in the wrong country to see the Northern Lights, but peering from them anyway. How's my colour today? A shade earthier now than you mentioned it. Deeper. More clay than orange. Like a plant pot. Oh, I love it. What do you think it means? No idea. I say, biting my hangnail off my thumb. I feel like everyone's colours are a bit deeper when we are at the tennis courts, richer or something. Rue sits up and stretches. What about me, May, sorry. What am I thinking about? Now that my mind is settled, I can see into Rue's easily. Your gig tomorrow night, I say. Well, that's easy. You could have guessed that. I root further, and then I grab something more specific. Hold it like a squirming puppy in my hands. If the children of Brigid show up again, he thinks, we are fucked. I sit up. Why? Why? What? Why are you worried about the children of Brigid? For a little while after Lily came back, the children were frighteningly active. There was an anti-abortion rally in Dublin, a protest at a gay club in Cork, but whatever interest they had in Kilbeg in particular seemed to quell. They were horrifying, but it was all so far away from us, so beyond our pay grade, and frankly we were tired. We had Lily to worry about. A religious group at the other side of the country doesn't seem as pressing as your friend forgetting how to put the clothes on. I saw him the other day, Rue says. Aaron? We were all silent. The air around us seemed to chill, where Fiona says, eventually, Rue is silent. Rue is silent for a second. I saw him at the city hall just for a second. He was with people. He was wearing a suit. It looked like a business thing, but I don't know. I was wearing my moth-cloth shirt, and the way he looked at me, he knew exactly who I was. Of course he knows who you are, I say. He crashed your gig. You crashed his meeting. No, Rube corrects me, then stops because even he doesn't seem to know what he means. I mean, he could see inside me, like he could see literally who I was. Remember, at his meeting, how he made all those people confess their weird no sins to him. I felt like how they must have felt, exposed or something. It was horrible. I put my hand on the back of his neck, my arm falling down the left of his shoulder blade. I'm sorry, babe. If the girls weren't here, I would wrap my arms around him. If the girls weren't here, I would tell him that there is not a single horrible thing about him, that he is calmer and kinder than anyone I've ever met, that he has taken the best traits I typically associate with each gender and made a cocktail of them all. The deepest part of chivalry and the oldest kind of beauty. But the girls are here. So instead I say, why were you at the city hall then? His face flushes. Oh, he says, I was going to wait until he gestures around, subtly implying the word alone, but I'm changing my name legally. I mean, Rue, we all gasped at once. That's amazing. That's so grown up. Does Mum know? No, Mum doesn't know, he says, answering Lily. First, but the thought of starting college, doing all that paperwork and class enrollment, and having Rory O'Callaghan on everything felt a bit ugh. You know, back in February when Lily first went missing, Rue was secret name. Oh, a few people in the world knew it. Me, Neil, a couple of people. Rue spoke to the online. Now almost everybody knows him as Rue. His interest in a double life is limited, which is, I suppose, something that happens when you come closer to losing the one life you actually have. Ah, I was just getting the forms from the city hall, he says, turning to me. I'll have to go to Dublin to do it officially. Will you come with me? Of course, I say, pulling him into a hug. Road trip. This is a cause for celebration, Vi says, jumping up. McFlurries or me? I say, thinking of Mum's tenor, and we all troop back to the car. Congratulations, Rue. We focus on the future. We could count our blessings. Then we fall into quiet. I don't need to read minds to know that we are all thinking about Aaron at the city hall. Why is he back in Kilbeg? I've been thinking, Fiona suddenly says, breaking the silence, that we are being given these gifts for a reason, you know. I survived the housekeeper, rude chirps, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. No, I mean she gazes out of the window. I mean the children are coming back, aren't they? To Kilbeg. We can't ignore them any more. Quiet again? No, Rue says. The whole time we are driving I feel a dark gloom in my stomach and pressure behind my eyes, like if I turned my head towards the window I would see the housekeeper standing in the overpass, like I might see Aaron standing in the road. I lean my head on Rue's shoulder and close my eyes, so I don't have to look at anything at all. And that's the end of chapter 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Have a lovely day.